Have you ever had a conversation with someone that was so fixated on what they were saying and what they thought that no matter what you said, it just didn't. It's kind of like jump roping, like double dutch. They just waiting to jump. You know what I'm saying? They're not paying attention to nothing else. It's my turn. And it's like you didn't hear shit I just said. That's the issue with people that lay heavy on their beliefs. When you lay so heavy on a belief, you're not leaving any room to take in your opinion.
That's dogma, right?
100%.
Yeah, people just being dogmatic about their approach.
Yes. We don't get anywhere like that.
Which I think is cool, but the need to want to change somebody else is where the conflict begins, right? Because I don't know. For me, you could think whatever you want. You could be a feminist, or you could be a racist. I don't care, but just don't project that onto nobody. You can live your life as however you choose to live it. I mean, but I'm a real...
But I so you're from where? Where are you from?
I'm from Brooklyn, Coney Island.
Right? I think that when you, like the East Coast and West Coast, right, these bigger cities, that when you grow up in a melting pot of so many different cultures and so many different people, you sort of are raised in an environment of some tolerance, right? You have somebody that, on your block that, maybe your bodega, that isn't where you're from. You go to school with a lot of people. I think a lot of beliefs that become crystallized in people's mind are because they don't have exposure to other people, right? Yeah. And so when people start to move into these larger environments of more of diverse thought, of diversity itself, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's religious, whatever the case may be, your beliefs have to change or evolve because you no longer live in the bubble of these echo rooms where people are raised. And so even listening to you, I'm like, damn, that it's almost like it's been ingrained in you. You're like, yeah, man, I just was brought up to, just that's how you think. But that's a part of you. A lot of people aren't raised like that. Like, the guy Dilbert, right?
Yeah. Which from what I understand, I was listening to Dara Tucker. I follow her.
You want to tell people what the Dilbert thing is before we...
Well, you go tell them first, and I'll tell you what I'm gonna say. Nigga, talk.
Dilbert is the guy, I forget his name, but the creator of Dilbert, the cartoon sketch. He made all these racist comments, saying that black people were a hate group because he read an article saying that, there was a large percentage of black people that said, is it okay to be white? And they disagreed, right? And he said, what you need to do? You need to stop supporting black people.
Get away from them.
Get as far as you can away from black people.
Because I don't want to be around people that think that about us. Okay. He got canceled. Right, they took the Dilbert. I didn't even know the Dilbert comic strip was still running, but they took the Dilbert comic strip off all newspaper platforms. Essentially, they're just 86ing him. There's a woman that I follow, Dara Tucker Starr, brilliant woman. And yesterday, she said she went down a rabbit hole with that, and she looked up some information about him, and she's posting it on her page tomorrow, a podcast issue about it. And she was like, the irony in that is when she looked him up and she saw him in another interview, he's actually very progressive, for affirmative action, for the rights of black people and all these things. And she said something to the effect of that he was trolling, but trolling for some purpose, but it just backfired and didn't work correctly. I don't know how accurate this is. Obviously, I'm going to inform myself more about it, but go ahead with the Dilbert thing.
Well, actually, CNN today, the guy that was researching it said that he wanted to get attention, and that the attention that he's getting now, I mean, it's debatable as to whether he's getting the attention that he wants, but somebody did say that he was sort of seeking, to, pull people into this conversation, and maybe he did it the wrong way. I don't know. It's not for me to judge his intent. But the reason why I brought up the Dilbert thing, we were talking about, what were we saying? How do we get to Dilbert? What were we saying?
Man, nigga, I don't know. You got to keep your train of thought. What was you saying? We were talking about toxic masculinity, Anwar growing up in this area and being accepting of everyone.
And then I was talking about sort of like where you're raised.
Yeah.
Right? And I was saying that people, I forget, I don't know.
No, you said something about being raised in the echo chamber, and not everyone is like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then you said Dilbert.
I haven't eaten yet.
Do better.
See, I think bigger than the race thing, it's more like industry, capitalism, and influence, right?
Yeah.
Industry, capitalism, influence.
Yeah, because like if you're not playing any of those games, you can do and say whatever you want, and no one even knows or even cares.
Yeah.
But if you want to step up front, be on front stage, try to persuade, try to change, try to influence, try to generate, try to attract, then you asking for scrutiny.
Cue Kanye West.
Well, you know,
Exactly.
which is that's a great statement because it begs the question: can you influence things behind the scenes? Because in the world we live in now, right, in this world, this social media world, where you have to light yourself on fire to be seen so you can become popular, be it Jake Paul boxing a whole bunch of people and doing crazy shit, be it the Dilbert guy trolling. People troll just for the fuck of it, just so they can get some sort of attention, right? Because they're hoping they can be a star. Do you think now things are coming full circle and having some sort of anonymity and people not knowing about you and you being in the background? Will you have that same ability and power to influence things, or do you have to be in the forefront and risk getting scrutinized and all these other things?
I think you can, but I definitely think you elude the attack from not being, because I think it's the people behind the scenes that's creating the influence. They're putting a figure in that place to be of influence or whatever the case may be.
And I was going to answer you by asking a question. Every year they have the Academy of Sciences, right? They do the awards for the Oscars, but it's like the science people, the technicians.
Yeah.
If you were, a guy that was responsible for, I don't know, like you did a movie about space and you were like got an award for your research that contributed to the movie. Would you want to be like on the awards show, like for best actor, or would you be like, the Friday before they did the awards? They always do the thing, and be like, last week we did.
I know you're
Would you want to be on the main stage and be like, right after we do the best actor, we're gonna do the guy, that had the best telescope in Astronaut 3?
Man, you know what? I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. The ego-filled side of me is like, I want to be on stage. I want the adulation, the accolades, the adornment, and the clapping, and the please, please, please. But let me finish. Then I'm gonna answer your question.
Well, hurry up.
But the punishment that I see those people that are in the forefront have to go through when they make a mistake,
I'm solid.
it scares the shit out of me, man. Just like when you were talking about what can we talk about, I was like, I don't want to talk about much, because the scrutinization and the judgment and all that, you're like, God damn, motherfuckers is coming, and you can't fight all these battles. The crazy thing about social media is you have millions of people coming for your ass. Nigga, you ain't winning these battles.
And so I think that because everyone wants to be a brand, and sort of going back to what you were saying about this idea of the intersection of capitalism, of industry, of influence, right? You want it until you don't want it, right? You want it until, now, you done said something to, poke at the beehive. Literally the beehive. And they're coming
no pun
right.
no pun intended.
Literally the beehive, right? And so now you have, all your comments are these little bees on your thing, right? And then you're like, damn, I liked it much better when I was in my little research lab, right, writing about the thing.
That's what's funny, because when you hear, I remember a long time ago when Britney Spears was having a breakdown and stuff, one of my boys was like, fuck that bitch, she rich and she got all types of shit going on. And I was like, damn, nigga, that's some hard ass shit.
You need a nap.
You need a nap, nigga. I mean, he said it with some emphasis, like, fuck that bitch, she be all right. But he was basing that on the fact that she was Britney Spears and she was a celebrity, as if she's not a human being.
Right.
Like, that bitch, she'll get over this bipolar, whatever shit she's going. That bitch got money, nigga. Let's get something to eat. I'm like, yo,
he was hangry.
Yes, I'm like, yo, this is how fans and this is how the public is. So with that being said, man, I don't know, nigga. I think I would listen. As long as we making the same amount of money that I can do, I might be like, man, let me just go ahead and I'll show up to the award show before the award show.
I make less money, man.
Yeah,
I don't want it.
Yeah.
That shit is dangerous, man.
I mean, but think about that time, like, little stories you read about Michael Jackson wearing disguises to go out in the public.
That's crazy. Right? That's insane.
Or when you, I heard Kevin Hart say when he was taking a piss, a fan ran up on him like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you was taking a piss, dog? And they look at you like, listen, nigga, you rich, you successful, and it's because of us. Wipe your dick off, shake it, wash your hands, and sign my autograph. That's very intrusive.
So my question to you is, and to you as well, let's say for whatever reason, you blow up in your industry, right? You become ridiculously famous to the point where you're easily recognizable. Dave Chappelle lives in Yellow Springs. Some people move to remote countries. Some people move to Africa. Would you see yourself moving to somewhere like Africa, like Ghana, or would you escape?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I plan on escaping, and I'm not even famous.
Yeah. 100%.
If I could make it work, I'd be going.
I think anonymity is power. I I always use it. It's so funny because I heard Denzel Washington use the same analogy, but I've been using this for years. The Daniel Day-Lewis thing, and I'm like, what's so dope about him is he just pops up, does a movie, and it's amazing, and he just disappears. I think he's a cobbler or something like that. And I just think that anonymity makes you powerful because people don't know who you are. I remember this girl said this to me. She's like, you can tell you old. I was like, why? She's like, because your Instagram is all over the place. 1 minute you talking about this, 1 minute you talking about that, and I'm like, bitch, that's by design. That's by design. You don't. If you want to know me, why don't you have some coffee with me? Sit down outside and I'll talk to you. Do I need to? Nobody got time for that. Do I need to publicly put on my page, guys? You got. Hey, you guys. Well, I don't know why everybody always start with, hey, you guys. I hate that shit. Y'all say something else. Don't start off with, hey, you guys.
What's
say
up,
something else. All y'all say
in his mind, everybody's greeting him.
Yeah, all of them say the same thing. Hi, you guys. Hi, guys. Don't do that. But I'm not like, this is happening, and this is what pain looks like. This is what joy. Well, I need to know all that. I don't need to know all that about you. Because if I feel like you, I'm saying this, and the crazy thing about it is, this new society, it's ingrained in them now. So they will look at this and be like, what the fuck is he talking about? Aren't I supposed to put all my achievements and all my failures on public display for everyone to see? That's what they normally do. You know what I'm saying? The fact that I'm even saying that is crazy. But I just think that if you leave some things to the imagination, if you don't know everything, it adds an air of mystery and surprise and whatever the fuck happened to that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to know all that shit.
The idea of isolating yourself or moving away abroad. I know we talked yesterday briefly, obviously Black History Month, and we talked even though, bringing up the Paul Robeson thing. And for those of you who don't know, Paul Robeson was a Pan-African. He believed in Pan-Africanism, and the idea of Pan-Africanism at that time, in that particular point in history, was not only about galvanizing this universal worldwide ideology for all blacks, right? But Marcus Garvey specifically had the idea of Africa for Afrikaans. And so part of the movement was moving back to Africa, right? Getting people, and if you read about him, he actually galvanized the largest movement. Like when you think of Pan-Africanism, he's pretty much the father of that Pan-Africanist movement. Now we can get into, the scholarship of it and why he failed and why he didn't succeed. But we talked about it yesterday briefly about this idea of going back to Africa, right? Through the advent of social media, we see people going to Ghana, right? People going to these slave castles. People, even Ghana during the pandemic, they opened up this idea of dual citizenship.
The popularity of Afro-Caribbean music now.
Right. Yeah. So you brought it up, and we sort of segued into leaving the country, finding your anonymity.
And what he did was he gave me a perspective that I had never thought of, because I had a million reasons why you should go back to Africa and whatnot, and why you should. And I asked him and a table of his friends. I was like, "What do you guys think about that? Now, is it a dope thing?" And he specifically went into why he thought it was a trend and gave me some reasons why we shouldn't, which I want you to elaborate on, because it really.
Before we get into that, Anwar, what are your thoughts?
Ideally, it's like, what would be the benefit, right?
Yeah.
Like, it seems foreign compared to what we've been conditioned to here.
Yeah.
So what seems foreign?
Just a foreign country, just the order of operations, the day-to-day is just very, very different. So I don't see the advantage. Yeah. And I don't know, you're going to kill me for this one.
No, go, say it, speak.
I think racism exists everywhere. I think if a bunch of African Americans move back to Africa, they'll be the minority on some sort.
Yeah.
It may be treated as that because
by Africans,
100%.
Even though there's videos of Africans saying, "Come back home."
I mean, that's videos, fam. Who producing these videos?
Yeah.
Right?
And I told you this. I lived in Ghana for 3 months, and I remember. Yeah.
Are you lying for the camera, or did you really live in Ghana?
I lived in Ho. I lived in Way. I lived in Kliko. I lived in Elamine. I lived in Kumasi.
Okay.
You want to keep going?
No, you put your point, Victor. Mr. Africa over here.
I'm Friday born.
How was you received when you was out there? Did you feel?
I remember I was around some Ghanaians, and we were out at this club. And one guy, they were all, kicking it, we were all talking. And one guy looked at me, and he was like, "What's up, nigga?" And I looked at him, I was like, I felt so dirty and nasty. And I said, "Why would you call me that?" And he was like, "Oh, you call you nigga." And I said, "Well, you don't call them that." I said, "You haven't called none of your friends that." And I was like, even the way you said it, it felt like a white man calling me nigger.
Yeah.
And I was like,
wow.
And because again, it's like another instance that happened, around some Ghanaians, and this was in a more remote part of the country, but somebody was explaining to me, he was like, yeah, you're not black, you're white black. I said, what do you mean white black? He was like, you're not black like us. He's like, you're white black, you're American white. And I said, damn, I wish the police would look at me like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But to your point, the idea of forming a group, right? When you identify as something, someone will always see you as something other than what they are.
For sure.
Right?
Yes.
And the things that we talked about yesterday, and I just brought up, can we agree that you identify yourself as a trainer, right? Someone, a fitness person?
What does
Since
that
you
mean
said
when
earlier.
we go to Africa?
I just want. We
What's
talked
that
about
mean?
this yesterday. You got such a
Nigga,
short
just talk
memory.
about this Africa shit.
Damn, do you smoke? Do you edibles?
Sometimes to go to sleep. I have a hard time sleeping, but this ain't about me. And Sam, we're gonna get to you because obviously,
He's saying,
oh man, nothing. Nigga, I ain't talking about none of this.
But I asked you about whether you, if I came to you and I said, O'Neal, I want to get fit, I want to get.
Why we gotta
healthy.
use training references though, dog? Use another reference, nigga.
What's the one I want?
Shakespeare.
Should I bug explain it? So I asked you because I said I think you would talk about it's not just enough to lift weights, it's not just enough to work out. You have to change your lifestyle, right? You have to change the way you eat. You have to change the nutrition. And I think the reason why I brought that up is because I think a lot of people think moving to Africa is going to change the mindset of people. No. And I said if you and going back to Marcus Garvey, he wanted to leave because of the exploitation, the racism, the discrimination of what we were experiencing here in America. But in Africa, people are heavily exploited. Africa is one of the most exploited continent, right? So you leave here, and what has changed?
What was your statement? Africans don't even control Africa.
Right. And to another point is we don't control our own destiny. Not here in America and not there in Africa. And until we start controlling the products that we use and go from being, people that sell things to people, not just being consumers, but also being the buyers and the owners of our own things, you can't escape what this is.
Yeah. And to you, it feels like we're trying to escape by saying, hey, we're going over to Ghana, we're going to Africa, it's popping over there. You also said something that was interesting to me is you said you felt like it was trendy, like it's trendy to go to Africa. You going to Africa, nigga? I'm going to Africa too. Let's all go to Africa.
I mean, it's a great post. Like when I went, I think Facebook had just come out, right? And when I went to the slave castle, nothing in me thought to myself, let me take a selfie in the slave castle where slaves had died trying to escape. And I'm no disrespect.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, shade to y'all. Yeah, shame on you. Yeah, like honestly, what the fuck are you thinking? Yeah. Like it's like going standing by somebody's parents' grave. Like they had just been killed in war and being like, yo, shout out to It's like where's the reverence for the pain and suffering that people have went through, and so everything is like social media. Instagrammable, postable, like people are looking for moments. Yeah. And so I'm not saying that the spirit of what they're doing is wrong, but I'm saying like there is something behind the movement of knowing that you can get on a plane, right? And what I said to you is like think of the people that can leave, right? Because not everybody can get on a plane and just relocate. Mm-hmm. You got to have money to get over to Africa. So who are you leaving behind? Yeah. The people who are very vulnerable, right? Are people gonna make a GoFundMe for the people that can't leave?
Yeah.
How many people be leaving over here?
Yeah.
I know you leave some people.
Nigga, where you going on Neil? I'm going to Africa, nigga. Figure this shit out, nigga. I'm going to Africa. I got to live my life. Because not everyone can fly there. What about the homeless black people? What about the black people that are living in bad conditions? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I do also think that there's some people that would argue that, hey, and you're probably going to laugh at me when I say this, but I believe that there's some black people that will argue, hey, we're going to go over there, get our shit together, get our shit right, and then we're going to send for the broke ones or the poor ones.
Why can't we get our shit right here?
Exactly.
We haven't even figured out how to do America right.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what's the intention of going back? Like,
right.
what are you trying to fix? So what are you running from, or what are you running towards? Like,
yeah.
I think that one of the things that I despise is the idea of you'll fix somewhere outside of your home Like if somebody was like, "Yo, man, I'm building these bridges," and be like, "Well, bro, you homeless." You know what I'm saying? Like you go out and you make homes, but you yourself don't have a home.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of it, and we talked about this yesterday as well.
Yeah.
I think when you had segregation, one of the things that segregation was able to do, even in a negative environment, was people pulled their resources. You had doctors living in the same communities as people who, were factory workers. You had people who were, drunks living amongst lawyers, right? Because you had to live next to people.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was solidarity in the community. When integration started to become more and more prevalent, people moved away, and what that did was it created a brain drain, right? And so now the people who were some of the most successful were separate from the people who needed them the most.
Classism.
Yeah, and so you think about the people who leave here and what they leave behind and what they take to other places, right? And I think we have to decide who we're here for. African Americans are a tribe in and of themselves, right? And so we look at ourselves, and that's the first thing when I came to New York, right? I came here, and you Jamaican, right?
My friend from Belize.
From Belize, but y'all too.
Same difference.
Yeah, and I went to Belize, but because I love Belize. But West Indians, when y'all come, when you come to New York,
Watch what you say.
I mean this.
All right.
When you come here, whether I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Michigan, but when you come here, people ask you, they be like, "What are you?" And you be like, "Oh, I'm black." And they be like, "Nah."
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't black.
His friend said that to me yesterday. She was like, "You Caribbean, you West Indians, you guys don't consider yourself blacks. Y'all ain't black. Y'all don't consider a whole bunch of y'all. They took a poll or whatever poll."
But I want
to
be even more clear, because and she was talking a lot.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear on, like, they'd be like, "You're not."
You know she gonna see this when you post it.
Yeah. Hey.
Okay. He said you talk. You talk a lot.
So I'd say I'm black, and they'd be like, "Oh, but what kind of black?" And I'd be like, "What do you mean, what kind of black?" And I'd be like, they'd be like, "Where are your parents from?" And I'd be like, "Mississippi and Louisiana." They'd be like, "Oh, you mean regular black?" And I'd be like, "What the fuck?
Yeah, black,
what
black,
do you mean you mean regular black?" I had never heard that before. Like when you read the history books and as many social studies things, I had never heard like regular black. You know what I'm saying? I heard African American.
I mean, listen. The confusing thing about all that is, do we just say I'm culturally black then, rather?
But my point in saying that is that I had never thought that when I came here that someone looked at my blackness almost like it was like, it was lower than theirs.
There's
It's crazy.
tiers.
Yeah, there was a hierarchy to being black.
Yeah.
That was my first experience of blackness, was that there are tiers.
Yeah.
And I ain't that black.
Yeah.
In the hood, I ain't that black.
Right. Why?
Because one, I'm fair skinned,
Okay.
right? At that time, I had two parents.
Yeah.
So nigga, they ain't black.
Yeah.
And then I went to college, went to Stony Brook, and I was way more black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like an all white
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, my black is running real deep
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But it's the Caribbean African American thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I'll be honest, Caribbeans are mad racist, fam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're lazy.
I don't know.
My grandmother is super racist.
I need some
super
education.
Racist.
I think humans overall,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not taking a stance on being anti-racist, you are racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we discern, or we like to categorize and place. That's just how we work as humans.
Yeah.
Like, we put things in order.
Yes.
And the eyes is one of the
Yeah.
strongest organs we got. So we go from light to dark or dark to light, however
Yeah.
you want to carve it up. But
Yeah.
we definitely see difference.
If the world was, if we all looked the same but we all had different noses, we would classify ourselves.
100%
By the noses, yes.
100%.
Yes.
You
It's
know
a
what I mean?
fact.
So like I said, when I came here, it was like regular black, and I was like, "You mean like W.B. Du Bois regular black? You mean like Martin Luther King regular black? Like that's regular?" And so again, we're lazy, but then you'd be like, "Yo, we built this shit. African Americans literally built this country.
So why should we leave and go over there when
Why
we get,
are
yeah.
we
Yeah, I
leaving
don't-
the very thing we helped to construct so that we can go somewhere else and then be looked at as less than?"
Which is a place which is foreign to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally foreign to everybody, because this land wasn't occupied.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
actually was occupied, but I mean, as far as the modern day world that we know it,
I'm okay with visiting places. I'm okay with you having an appreciation. And this is what I said yesterday, is that I'm okay with the spirit of going back to Africa, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
idea of black is beautiful. I'm okay with the spirit of saying, you know what, we need to take pride in our motherland, in our native, in our cultures that we are estranged from, right? like when you look at Haiti and you ever watch documentaries about voodoo, right? It's the culmination of a lot of things, Christianity with African religions, right? And so they get demonized. Like when you watch a film, and Steven Seagal. And he's fighting these voodoo priestesses. They cutting chicken, and the blood is flowing over them.
They were Jamaicans, but they made us voodoo. Yeah.
But it's always in this negative connotation.
I almost feel like it's just too much for human beings, for people in general. I feel like culture is too layered for human beings to even deal with it. Like, it's too much for us to be like, I'm an offshoot of this, and then offshoot of that.
It's all story.
Yeah.
That's what human is.
They just want to be like, what are you?
It's a combination of stories, yeah. But I never understood why it mattered, right?
Yeah.
Why it matters?
Yeah, why does it
I have
matter?
a theory.
Yeah. I'm curious.
My theory is this. Unfortunately for white people, they are the dodo birds of... listen. Unfortunately, you guys are the dodo birds of.
You guys.
They are like they are. They know that they're going to go extinct.
I mean, that's a stat. Like,
it just is. As long as you are having babies with other races, you are no longer white. And I think that there is a desire to want to protect whiteness because it eventually will become extinct.
And that desire is growing exponentially.
But that's wild because like everybody's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna know what's extinct and not extinct in about 50, 60
but
years.
Everyone's concerned about legacy, right?
I mean, I don't know about everybody. I could care less about that shit.
You don't care about you don't want to leave your kid something?
Leave him. I want to leave him with the sense of self, with the tools to navigate this experience that is extremely limited and temporary.
How old is your son?
He's 7.
Are you gonna teach him about how to survive a police encounter?
Yeah, so we recently started because he was out of school for spring break, and it was Martin Luther King Day, and he wanted to know why he wasn't going to school. And I had to explain to him who Martin Luther King was, which went down to segregation and then slavery and then the whole thing. But the way I communicate with him is it's all capitalism. It's all about money, right? And
you want him to see the bigger picture.
The bigger picture. It's all about the bigger picture because the nuances is changing day by day. Faster, hour by hour these days, So it's like to give him something so temporary that's not going to be beneficial to him, for me, it gives me anxiety, right? Because I think about it often, like, what do I leave him? What do I tell him? How do I, feel okay? Because I'm going to die, fam. I know this for a fact.
And just discussing racism and all that with him is just the first layer.
How do you talk about blackness to your kids?
You know what? I handle it in the incorrect way, in particular with London, because she's biracial. And I used to be like, hey, man, you black. You know what I'm saying? I need you to start saying, I'm just going to reveal some things to you. I need you to start saying, you can say nigga, first of all. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what your mama say.
Shout out to London, but she stole my beats, my headphones. I'll never forget that. She stole my beats.
Baby mama?
She lost them like a month later. I used to handle it a little aggressively and be like, you're black, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then, through other interactions with other biracial people, I started to become more sensitive to it. Like, wow, they're in a world where they're like, what am I, right? I'm not black enough for black people. You got black people who ain't black enough for black people, and then I'm not you. You don't feel like that? Well, you're different though, bro. Speak to it. If anybody can speak to this, you can.
My mother is Italian. My father's Nigerian. I'm black. The end.
That's how I feel too.
But where did you gain? How did you crystallize that black thing in your mind today?
I've never lived the life of a white man for even a minute. No one's ever looked at me and say, "Hey, Caucasian brother, like you're black."
You remember the first time you felt like you were black?
I just knew I was. It wasn't like a moment in time.
Now, do you think that? Okay, let's stay with that. I grew up in the projects around dope dealing in Detroit, dope dealing, killing, all stuff like that. I decided to be the nerd that I am, that you say that I'm not. My brother decided to be a street dude. And I thought the same way Sam thought. I was like, no one ever had to tell me not to sell dope or not to do this or not to do that. I just was like that. My brother is the complete opposite. Do you think that's a learned thing? That's an automatic thing? Some people are just special like that? Or like with him, he just...
Is what's special?
Just knowing what you are or what you should do instantaneously without being taught.
Did he have a higher self of consciousness than most people?
Exactly. Did he have a higher self of?
Well, I think that's for him to speak to because I don't know how he grew up.
I mean, I didn't grow up in an American household. My mother came to America when she was 18. My father came to America when he was like 22 or whatever. So I'm American, yes, but like inside of my household is not like there's a lot of like culturally Black American things that I'm like chitlins and all that. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
Or even white things like white people eat meatloaf. Like we're not eating that in my house. So there's like a lot of white culture stuff and Black culture stuff that I just was foreign to me because my household was not American. Yeah. Even though I was.
But yet and still you gravitated towards the Black side 100% without even questioning.
Is that because you went to Black schools?
You don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's pretty evident. You're not white.
That's
I didn't hear what he said.
He said he feels like in this country you don't have a choice. Yeah. And that's the way I would talk to my daughter. You know, and I backed up off of that because I was like, I don't want her to feel like I'm yanking her my way.
There's so many times that like people ask me what I am, and I'm like, oh, I'm half Italian, half Nigerian. They're like, oh, you're Nigerian.
They're like, let me solve it for you.
There you go.
So it's
at the time too, though. Like a little bit older, so the environment was more polarized.
O'Neill's older.
And he don't really have a race. Like I was speaking to him about hate and people being treated a certain way because of their skin color, and I could see that his processor was not understand. He was like, shit was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Can I also say though too, the shows that kids are watching now are very different than the shows 100%. That we grew up. Sesame Street, you be like, this shit look like kind of like the projects, bro. You know what I'm saying? Now you're watching, like the way that kids talk now, it's like they all have this universal language. Like kids have a smart ass mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like they learn that shit from, like they're learning to question things before they're aged to question things like why am I doing that?
Yeah, I mean,
and it's like
social media has them. The example that I use is social media has them. They're very knowledgeable because they can just look anything the fuck up. They can just look it up. But they haven't walked in our shoes. They haven't experienced it, but they know.
But a lot of their perspective is untainted. Yes. And I appreciate it because they have the information.
I think this little kid.
I mean, I'm speaking very biasly. So.
Yeah, but this little kid, he was on the Good Morning America show, and he was like 13 years old, like going to college.
Yeah.
And he
was black kid, right?
Yeah, little black kid. Yeah. And they showed his parents. Now, I argue that.
That's not his parents.
Here we go.
I argue his parents look like they're 70, right? So like both of them look old. So I feel like. If you look at the time difference, I feel like he came out 14. You know what I'm saying? Because his parents, like, that motherfucker look like Frederick Douglass. Like,
That's the shit they wouldn't address on
right. I was like, man, he had old sperm.
He was raised by grandparents.
But when he was talking, like, they were asking him questions, and then they brought Neil deGrasse Tyson on because the kid wanted to be an astrophysicist. And he was talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and they were, he was like, oh, what do you want to be? He's like, I want to be an astrophysicist. He's like, you know what? I actually disproved the Big Bang Theory. I thought about that. If matter can, and he was talking, I was like, yo, he has no idea. Like, he should shut up. Like, his parents, they told him shit. Like you're doing too much, bro. Like, he's in college now. Like, can you imagine, like, me and you being in the class with him and him talking like that? Like, you would take him to Omar's. I'm like,
come on, little nigga, you need to go to the strip club.
Right.
This little nigga been working too long. Go to the strip club with me. No, listen.
But wait. Last thing. I brought this up to say, it's interesting to hear your perspective because I grew up in a very, very black household, but I also had like weird, interesting experiences. My first friend is and was a white kid, and I would go to his house. And I remember the first time I thought about blackness being something different because he had a pool in the backyard, and when I got out the pool, I was dry, and I wanted to put grease in my hair.
Yeah.
And I ran. His sisters was like, "Oh, come," and they went to their bathroom. They were putting the stuff in my hair, mousse, and it wasn't doing nothing in my hair.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Why isn't it working?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you have, I don't think they said nothing like nappy hair, kinky hair,
yeah.
But they would say this is something."
Did they have unlimited juice in the refrigerator too?
All the snacks.
What the fuck is juice? I don't drink.
That's when I realized I was black.
But that's why comedy is always so funny. Is like there were these little small distinctions that were made when I was like, so my mom, she definitely cooks chitlins. Right, yeah. I remember when we took my white friend to our black church.
Yeah. Right,
and I remember him being like, "Well, why am I dressing up? Like, why am I putting on these formal clothes?"
Yeah.
We had a little butterfly collar. He had to wear a little sweater.
Yeah.
And I like so those things happen, and so the reason why I asked you about like how do you introduce blackness is because I completely agree with you that this shit is not always gonna last. like the way in which we view race right now. I mean, it's a temporal thing. So I can really appreciate somebody being like, you know what? I'm actually preparing my son for a world that I'm not going to live in.
I'm not going to be
in
here.
the future.
Yeah, for
so you're
sure.
saying what's going on currently right now, the way we grew up and what's going on currently right now, the dodo birds that are fighting to preserve the race and things of that nature, you're just saying that this is just a losing battle.
Yeah,
and these are the last remnants of that.
To the white people out there, you could pick another dying, extinct danger on the list. I just happen to think of dodo bird.
This has been amazing, man.
Is this your wrap it up speech?
Yes, my wrap up speech.
So
Yeah, this has been
I
amazing.
wanna thank everybody.
It's been amazing. New York edition of Three Black Guys on the Couch.
Can I pick one embarrassing story?
From me?
Yeah.
No.
Can I tell them about the van that you had when you bought
You
that
can tell.
item?
You can tell about the singing thing.
The second thing?
The singing thing.
The
Lion King. Hurry up, we wrap it up. Lion King story.
Really quick story. So O'Neal and I, we were both aspiring actors, and so we went to go.
This story better be funny, nigga.
Listen, we went to Lion King. They were doing like the traveling Lion King show. This is when Lion King first came out, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna
First came out.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I'm just backing you up first.
and so
He auditioned for Simba.
listen,
He was trying.
so we were like, "Yo, let's be a part of it. Like, let's do it. Like, we'll go and we'll try out, and like, you know, you'll be Scar."
Nigga, I ain't say no shit like that.
Right.
Nigga, you gonna be scarred.
Right. And so anyway, in the instructions that we read, it was like you had to have singing music, right? And so we went to the music store. We bought records. I got Aladdin, like A Whole New World. He bought Whitney Houston. O'Neal bought Whitney Houston. Was the greatest love of all. Greatest love of all. So now, mind you, neither one of us have any sort of singing background.
None.
Right. So we get into the room, and so
Hold on, where is this?
this
In
is
Detroit,
in Detroit.
Detroit.
We drove to Detroit from Michigan State. Now, here's the thing. They said we had to sing like 16
bars.
16 bars of music. And I was in band earlier, like in high school. So I was like, 16 bars. That's just the measure, like a 4/4 count, like 1, 2, 3, 1. And I was like, that's one bar.
I know what that shit was.
I thought it was. I thought that's what a bar was. So anyway, we get in there, right? And me and O'Neal are the very first one. If the auditions are at 8, we're there at 6 a.m. And all the people start lining up behind us, right? So we're the first ones in. Like, O'Neal's first, and I'm second, right? So he goes.
And it's packed. It's packed out there.
People are doing shit. People are doing this shit, warming up their scales. Me. Me and O'Neal like, what the fuck is they doing? Like, what? We just going insane.
Just going
Right?
insane.
These are
nigga.
people that are like they majored in
train.
musical
That's what they
theater.
do.
That's what their thing is. Me and O'Neal is just like, nigga, you gonna be Simba. I'm gonna be
Scar.
Mufasa, right? Or maybe we would be the hyenas, whatever. So O'Neal goes in there, and we could all hear because that's when it got quiet.
I didn't know this. I didn't know nobody
They
could
went
hear.
in from doing the scales to being like shh, and you could hear O'Neal being like, "Okay, I'm gonna sing from the top." Take look at this voice. Like everybody's like, I'll be singing. All right, okay, start.
What I say?
Oh, take it from the top. Start that shit from right the first thing. And it was like, and then he was like, sing up to there, pointing, like sing up to right there. So the guy starts playing. O'Neal. So when he goes, I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Teach them a sense of pride. He literally did the Coming to America version. Bro, everybody on the house.
Everybody that bitch
Yeah,
heard.
give them a sense of pride. Bro, he came outside and O'Neal was like,
Mind you, stop. Mind you, again, I ain't know nobody out
is
there
the
heard.
ego
he
of
said,
O'Neal.
He said everybody stopped.
No. That's not what I told you at first. He was like, you got cute that shit. Right? I was like, I'm sorry. Killed it. Bro, we get back in this car. He was like,
No. Tell me what I said when I came out. I was embarrassed, but I didn't know everybody heard it. I came out. I was like, hey, they want y'all to.
He was like, hey, I sang too long in there. So that's not 16 bars. So know what 16 bars is, y'all. I walked out. Bro, I told him the story. He was like, shut the fuck up. He's like, bro, they can hear me. I was like,
Nigga. He was like, we got in the car. He was like, nigga, everybody heard you sounded terrible.
and then you did the Coming to America part. So that's just one of our stories. Like literally, bro, one of the funniest shits ever. Us thinking we was gonna be on Lion King. Thanks for having me on there.
3 black guys on the couch. Like and subscribe, please. Thank you very much. Hey, nigga, that.